Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm bringing you guys my Week 5 match for the UBC, season number 6. And this is going up a little bit later than I like to. I like to put it up in the morning on Saturdays, but it's going to be up probably like 2 or 3 p.m. or so. I guess even 10 a.m. is late because it's supposed to go up on Fridays, but I have P4G on Fridays, so I space them out a little bit, so bear with me. But we have a very interesting matchup today. We are going up against the Baltimore Oriolus. This is coached by Shiny Sableye, aka Ben, and this is really fun. I don't think that he and I have battled before. We've been in like tournaments before, like he was in the Grand Overseas tournament that Aster ran, and I think he was in my draft pool, but I don't think we battled. But he actually just took over for Immortal Mens. Immortal Mens had to drop out due to being too busy. I think he has like a lot of stuff with school going on and things like that. He hasn't been very active around on YouTube or on Discord, so bit of a bummer. Mens is a good guy and good friend, but I'm excited to have Ben in the UBC now, and as you can see, he has a team of Mega Kangaskhan, Tornadus T, Latios, Suicune, Excadrill, Rotom Heat, Heracross, that's what that thing's called, Drapion, Azumarill, and Gogoat. Excuse me. And so, I've got an opportunity to use my brand new team for the first time. I've made a ton of transactions. I dropped, I think, 6 Mons from my old team and added 7 new ones. So that's pretty wild. And we're going to be putting several of those to the test. I think 4 of the Mons on my team are new Mons. I only have 2 Mons from my old roster in the starting lineup this week. And we'll just hop right into it because we're going to be going into the battle very shortly. But we are starting off with a standard looking spec Swellow, Boom Burst, Heat Wave, U-Turn, Quick Attack. His only normal resist is the Excadrill, and so a Boom Burst is very dangerous versus his team. I think he might be pressured to bring a Spidef Excadrill this week because of this and Jolteon. Jolteon can be problematic just for grabbing momentum versus his team. And Heat Wave is there to hit that Excadrill if I make a prediction. U-Turn if I just want to pivot into something else. And then I didn't really need anything in the last slot, so I just put Quick Attack as a filler move. It might come in handy versus Azumarill or something like that. If it's setting up to +6 with Belly Drum, we can potentially go for Quick Attack, get like maybe 20% damage off. You know, that sort of damage could definitely come in handy. We put enough speed on here to outspeed Torn, put above max special attack, and then the rest into normal attack. Next, we have an Extra Belt Whimsicott. I actually almost made this Chlorophyll because this combination of moves plus Nature Power, which turns into Lava Plume in the sun, is actually very, very good versus his team. Because, yeah, that would allow me to hit Excadrill super effectively and things like that. But I felt a little bit too vulnerable to Suicune, so I decided to just leave my set offensive, but to add Encore and U-Turn instead. And this does pretty well versus Drill anyway, because we're faster than most drills, like unless it's a Scarf Drill. Giga Drain does plenty of damage anyway. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, this here is just, you know, it's to help prevent me from losing to Suicune. It also can click Encore on Belly Drum Azumarill and things like that, you know, or Power Up Punch, Kangaskhan, whatever. So that's very nice. Now, next up, we've got a Scarf Scizor. I wanted to go Scarf because this allows us to outspeed Torn. It allows us to outspeed Lottie, outspeed a lot of the annoying things on his team. I almost had Pursuit on this Mon. But I wanted to go with Defog instead, just because I do have a lot of Volt Turn action on this team, and so having hazard removal would be pretty nice. I don't have any hazards myself this week. Didn't think I could afford it. I would have to have brought Nihilego or Steelix, and neither of them were very good in this matchup. But yeah, Scarf is nice. In that way, like if he's like a Colberberry, Lottie, or something like that, I don't have to worry about him staying in on my Pursuit and surviving and knocking me out with HP Fire. I can just go for U-Turn instead, and it should pretty much KO. Otherwise, like Iron Head is nice for Torn and things like that. Superpower is there to do massive damage to Kangaskhan. We do have to beat Kangaskhan. He could go for like a +2 Sucker Punch, but I don't think that does a lot to Scizor, just because Scizor has really great natural defense, as you can see. Next up, we have a Double Dance Zygarde. I think this set is very good this week because we can use Coil to set up on things like Excadrill, potentially, like, you know, it allows us to survive hits from Kang, because Kang can run Ice Punch to potentially deal with that. Allows you to set up on Heracross. Gogoat especially is really good fodder for Zygarde. And I'm expecting like either a FizzDef Go-Goat or a FizzDef Heracross. And yeah, and again, that's what Coil is meant to take advantage of. And because those are his 2 counters that I anticipate, I am going to be running Dragonium to nuke those things with Devastating Drake, and it should work pretty well. We are max speed on here, just a speed tie with Drapion if needed. Next, we've got a kind of bulky Cloyster, and this moveset is, well, Razor Shell is there for like drill and stuff if we need it, or for Rotom if we happen to outspeed. I kind of doubt we will. Icicle Crash, or Icicle Spear rather, is very good versus the majority of his team. P-Jab for Azumarill and Explosion, just like as a kind of like emergency button if we need to get out versus something. Like, you know, if he's got Substitute Suicune or something, we can break the sub with Explosion and do well versus that. We have enough speed to guaranteed outspeed the Jolly Azumarill. I forget exactly what the HP investment was on this thing, but I think it allows me to not get 2 KO'd after rocks by Aqua Jet or something to that effect. And then we just put the rest into attack. We didn't really need any FizzDef investment this week because obviously the defense stat is just so huge. Rocky Helmet is there to help us deal with Kangaskhan because Kangaskhan is a huge threat, and getting Rocky Helmet chip on that is one of the best ways to deal with it. And then last but not least, we've got an Assault Vest Jolteon. This is a really good way of dealing with Tornadus T. And it also can like pivot in on things somewhat well, like Rotom and Lottie, depending upon what sort of sets they are. We have just enough speed on here for Torn. Put all of our extra bulk into Spadef to make that Assault Vest as beneficial as possible. So that's my rocket fast rundown of the team. Let's now switch into the battle. And as you can see, Ben has decided to bring Kangaskhan, Excadrill, Rotom, Azumarill, Lottie, and Suicune. So it's very interesting he didn't bring the ground resists. He doesn't have one at all. I mean, he does have Suicune, which is a nice, fat, bulky thing that can switch in on Zygarde relatively well. But other than that, he doesn't have a proper ground resist otherwise. So if I can get to set up a little bit with the Zygarde, I'll be looking pretty nice. I'll be hoping to get to like +2 speed to outspeed like something like a potential Scarf Lottie, because that can definitely revenge me, and that would be pretty annoying. So in terms of leads, Swellow is pretty good versus most everything. Like I can either U-turn or just fire off a Boom Burst or whatever. So that is what I am going to lead. And he's going to lead off with his Drill. And so the fact that he leads off with this makes me think that it's like a Rocks lead kind of thing. So I just click in, stay in, and click U-turn. But he actually goes for Iron Head, revealing that he has Choice Scarf. This is definitely really interesting. I mean, it was definitely effective. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be Scarf. I don't think it necessarily is like inherently a good bring in this matchup, but I think for surprise factor alone, it was really smart. And the damage does reveal that he's adamant. He's not going to be able to do so much damage with a Jolly Iron Head there. So now that I know that he is locked, I can go easily into Scizor, because Scizor does not care about Iron Head. And this is the freest U-turn of my life. And he brings in his Kang, which is pretty interesting. Does 43%, and that suggests that he's pretty minimally bulk invested. So this is a good chance for me to go into my Cloyster, which is pretty much my dedicated counter into this thing. If he hits me with any contact move, the combination of Rocky Helmet and Icicle Crash will take him out. And so, as you can see, he is going to go for the Power-Up Punch, which does very pitiful damage. This shows you how bulky Cloyster is, even without any FizzDef investment. It's got like as much, or nearly as much FizzDef as my Steelix, which is crazy. So we do take that out, and we are now up 6-5, which is really nice. Rotom's going to come on in here, and I don't have great responses for this, so I'm going to go into my Jolteon. Just go for the Wisp, and I don't mind that whatsoever. Because although it is going to slowly whittle me, it obviously isn't going to hinder my ability to go for moves. I am going to expect the Exeter to come in here. I predict that and go for HP Ground. Now on this turn here, I guess the Earthquake is potentially obvious. I go into Swellow not necessarily expecting that, but more of just like trying to sack it to get a free switch into whatever's appropriate. Like if he wants to go for Iron Head or something again, I can now go into my Scizor again pretty easily, or whatever else feels appropriate. Turns out he's going to go for Scarf Rocks, and this is actually really nice for me because I'm in a position where Swellow just collects a kill. Because Boom Burst is that scary. And so he's going to choose to sack his Drill here to my Boom Burst. And that works out great for me because now my Jolteon can Volt Switch for free. Allows me to get momentum versus a lot of his team. Now Azumarill comes in here. I do not want to let this thing go for Belly Drum for free, so I decide just to sack off my Swellow and potentially click Boom Burst. And that is going to take us down. I mean, I guess I could have switched out. Like, there was... He probably wasn't going to expect me to switch, just because, you know, I die upon re-entry to Rocks. I do have Defog on Scizor to potentially take care of that, but I digress. The Swellow does go down here, and I can bring up my Whimsicott fairly easily. And there's almost a 0% chance that he stays in here, so this is a very nice opportunity to go for U-turn and go into my Jolteon and scare this thing out. And so I'm expecting the Rotom or potentially the Lottie to come in, but either way I can U-turn out of Jolteon, or sorry, I can Volt Switch out of Jolteon into something else, and he does bring the Lottie, which means that my Scizor can come in here. My U-turn does guaranteed kill, and he shouldn't be expecting the Scarf. But it turns out he is also Scarf, so this is easily going to snipe me. So he's got double Scarf. Like, the Lottie I do understand, because like I mentioned at the start, he's going to want to be able to outspeed Zygarde at +1. I think that's a smart bring. I mean, just double Scarfers in general is annoying, but that doesn't make it bad. It just, you know, it's just frustrating. So Scizor's going to go down, and things are looking a little dicey for me. But the fact that I know that he's Scarfed and that he's locked into Hidden Power Fire means that my Zygarde can come in for free. And this is a pretty, what's the right word? I guess this is definitely a misplay here. So I go for the Dragon Dance, knowing that he's guaranteed going to switch out. Probably the better thing to do would have been to simply go for just go for 1,000 arrows, because it's free versus his whole team. And I can do some calcs for you guys real quick. Let me just get this thing set up on the other tab. So 1 second, click that, and let's click here. Yeah, so as you can see, 1,000 arrows would have not 2-hit KO'd. I mean, I guess it depends on what sort of spread I think he is. If he's got no attack investment, it does a chunk. But even if I set up to +2, like, I'm not going to be in position to do tremendous damage to this thing. So I think it was pretty premature to set up here, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So anyway, I am at +1/+1. If, like, I don't know exactly what a Azumarill set this is. If it's Belly Drum, then it's not going to be able to do a ton to me if I set up a coil. Like, going for a couple coils versus, I think if I can get to +2 defense, then versus a non-banded Azumarill, I'm not taking nearly as much. But it's hard to say. I mean, I know this is kind of like a waste of time, but I want to look at this just for myself. So play rough, I guess it still does a lot. Like, if I can somehow get to +2, if I get to +1, this is how much play rough does. If I can get to +2, so I can't really even survive 2 play roughs from a non-banded Azumarill's play rough. So it was a misplay anyway to try and set up here. As it turns out, I had to go for the coil, and he goes for the play rough as I expect, and it does turn out that he's banded. So none of that even mattered anyway. Like, I just got really excited here because I was like, oh, there's a locked Lottie in here, and I can start to set up and do tremendous damage. But it wasn't going to work. The Suicune was basically at full health anyway, so it was you know, I don't think that even a +2 Dragonium would be able to take out a fully Fizz-Def Suicune, just because Suicune is so fat. It's crazy. Yeah, like, you can see this here. Like, the Devastating Drake doesn't necessarily knock out in there. Like, there's a fully Fizz-Def set. It literally doesn't kill ever. So it was just a bad play on my part. I got a little overexcited. But I do go for a coil. I don't know if I was on the right screen when I clicked the coil here. I can go back and show you guys once again. I click the Dragon Dance on the Azumarill switch in, and then I go for a coil. And then as I go for the coil, he reveals the banded play rough. So that's a major bummer. He does also get the attack drop, which is annoying, but it's not like a huge deal because I wasn't gonna Oko anyway. All it does is give this thing a little bit of extra health. But the Azumarill by itself is still not a huge threat versus my team right now because I do have the Whimsicott and the Cloyster, which can take it on pretty well. He does go into the thing here, the Rotom. If you wanted to like switch out into Lottie on the expected grass move, I thought Moonblast would make sense. Moonblast was going to kill the Azumarill anyway, but he does make a pretty nice switch in pivoting into the Rotom. I'm not super worried about this because I can just U-turn into my Jolteon on the Rotom here, so I'm overall okay with this. He is going to make a double into his Azu as I go for U-turn, and I'm pretty sure I just go into Cloyster here. And even though like his switch out is kind of obvious, I don't want to say that it's obvious. Like I'm this Azumarill with its priority can be annoying for Jolteon, even though my other two members deal with it. So it's in my best interest to try and take this thing out with a Poison Jab. But he makes a really smart play, really safe play, going into the Suicune. And Suicune doesn't really do a ton versus Whimsicott and Jolteon anyway, so I think it's smart for him just to bring it in. I am weary of this thing setting up Calm Minds, and the Cloyster doesn't necessarily check a lot at this point. So I just want to explode and do as much damage as possible to this thing and get my Whimsicott and threaten with Encore. And we are going to do that. It does only 40%. It's a testament both to how strong Suicune is and how weak Cloyster is, even with an adamant nature. But anyway, Whimsicott can come in here. As I mentioned, Encore is extremely threatening to this Suicune here, so I do make a play and click for U-turn. I can go out into my Jolteon, and I can reveal my tech. And this one really did catch Ben off guard. I go for Synchronoise, and if you're not familiar, Synchronoise allows you to hit a Pokemon that has a similar typing to you, and so Jolteon with its electric typing, it shares that with the Rotom, and that means I can hit it with a 120 base power psychic type move. But the problem is that this Rotom is fat as hell, and so for as awesome as my tech is, it doesn't actually do much damage to the Rotom, so it is what it is. But he's going to go for HP Ice. I guess he doesn't have Overheat or whatever in order to take on the take this on. He has HP Ice. He probably has like Pain Split, Volt Switch, Will-O-Wisp, stuff like that. We already saw the Will-O-Wisp for sure. And he reveals the Wiki Berry, so he's going to be able to get up to a very high amount of HP, and there's no way that my Jolteon's going to be able to finish this thing off. It is going to go down. And yeah, there's basically no combination of moves that my Whimsicott can use to take this thing out. And it's going to result in a 4-0 loss for the Baltimore Oriolus. I guess he does like make a cheeky Volt Switch play into the Lottie so he can revenge me with Ice Beam, padding up that kill count for the Lottie. Got this early snipe on the Scizor, which was pretty nice. So yeah, 4-0 loss. I felt like I was in a decent position for most of that game. Like I got rid of the Kang early, I got rid of the Excadrill early. It just really came apart when I went to Zygarde and started setting up early. I needed to play a little bit more conservatively there. Like I think going into Zygarde would have been fine if I didn't set up, if I just launched off 1,000 arrows or something like that. Or if I made a double expecting like the Suicune to come in or the Yazoo to come in, like doubling into Whimsicott would have been really smart, because then I could start to get some more momentum by going for U-turn or just firing off Giga Drain or whatever felt appropriate. So yeah, that really screwed me up because yeah, I just couldn't do much. I mean, Scarf Lottie in general was just going to be really difficult for me to deal with in the end game there, because Scarf Ice Beam was really dangerous once I lost my Scizor. And yes, it's true that Cloyster does double, it quad resists that, but it's got really pitiful Spadef, and the rocks were up, so I was going to be coming in at like 50%. And so while I could live one probably, I can't switch in on an Ice Beam and then survive, most likely. So nice game to Ben. Shoutouts to winning your first game of the UBC. Glad to have you here, and glad to, gonna be hoping to see you do good things for the rest of the season. For week 6, we are going to be going up against Ice Demon Gray, who is a new UBC addition this season, and we're going to hopefully be able to catch our first W after sort of suffering through the first 5 weeks of this season. On average, I think that this team is much better for me than what I had before, so as long as I'm having a good time, I don't mind too much if I keep on collecting L's. Because like right now, it's tough for me to put a lot of time into mons in general. But you know, as long as I'm having fun, that's all that really matters to me. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content in the future. And until the next time, I'll see you guys later.